Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peter Watches TV, where I watch all the TV shows. I watch all the reality shows, like 1,000 Pound Sisters, which I'm going to talk about today, and Survivor. The Golden Bachelorette finale was last night. Would you guys like a video talking about that? I can talk about that in a video if you guys want. I cover all the true crime shows. I can do all the Housewives over here. If you guys want Housewives videos, let me know. I watch all the Housewives. And I watch all the trending shows on Apple and Netflix and Paramount and Peacock and all those shows. Currently, my binge-worthy show of the week is Escape at Dan Mora, which is with Patricia Arquette, and it is fantastic. It is absolutely fantastic. I think it came out actually several years ago on Showtime, but I'm just watching it now. It was newly added to Netflix. It's so good. It's based on a true story, and it's really, really well done. And it's with Benicio del Toro as well. And it is so good. So that would be my recommendation for a binge-worthy. Should I start doing that? Should I start doing that in videos? I should recommend a binge-worthy show of the week. That's my binge-worthy show recommendation of the week. But today I want to talk about 1,000 Pound Sisters, which I got caught up on last night. I really don't have tons to say about this week's episode because there really wasn't a lot that happened in this week's episode, except for that there was a lot of blank space, I noticed, which was kind of bizarre to me. So the episode started out, I actually didn't take notes last night. I usually take notes on these shows. So if I don't say something specific to what they say, I'm just kind of going off what I remember. Okay, so it started off with Tammy and being at Chris's house and Chris's wife, Brittany. I think Brittany might be the unsung hero of this season of 1,000 Pound Sisters. Brittany is so funny. Like, just the way that she looks at things and looks at people, and she doesn't say anything at all, right? But she is so hilarious. Like, last season, I loved Amanda and Misty, okay? This season, Misty's kind of floated into the background, and I think that Amanda is, I don't know if her being on the show is kind of like built her ego up a little bit, but Amanda is being so nasty this season, unlikable nasty. It's like, you know what, if you watch The Housewives, and the Housewives start getting so full of themselves that it's like, then they see themselves as celebrities, that they're almost kind of unlikable. So the thing is, we don't know Amanda that well because we're only in, what is this, season 6? And so it's like, I don't know if that's really who she is as a person or if that's who she is because of this television show. But Amanda is being unnecessarily nasty this season, at least from my perspective. But I said that the last video that I made about this, and a lot of people agreed on that as well. So, you know, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. But it starts off, and Tammy is at Chris's house. She's staying at Chris's house because Chris bought this house next door to he and Brittany, and he is redoing this shithole of a house. Okay, it is an absolute shithole. It had a lawnmower in there. The carpet hadn't been changed in like 30 years, and so he's redoing this house. I did think it was interesting that in this episode, he said he's been working on it for a month or something like that. They didn't show anything inside the house at all. I thought that that was interesting. I thought that they might show kind of like where he's at on it or whatever. And so they're all sitting around there. So in this house, it's Chris and Brittany, their daughter, their granddaughter, or a grandson. I think it's a granddaughter. But anyway, and Tammy. And they're all living in this little house. And so they're waiting for Chris to get this house next door done so that Tammy can move into the house. What's interesting to me about this, right, is that I feel like this is a production move to keep a lot, and I don't know, maybe I'm just guessing at this, to keep a lot of the family close together because I know what they make an episode, and it's not it's not housewife money, but it's not bad money either, okay? I mean, it's a good income a year. There's no reason why Tammy could not rent an apartment or a house, and yet they're still playing up this whole thing that, like, Tammy's so destitute, she can't. I mean, Tammy has to be one of, she and Amy are the two that are making the most money on the show. So it's interesting to me that Tammy can't afford an apartment on her own. I mean, she's talking about how she's going to leave Kentucky in the last couple episodes, but then she has to go move in with Chris because she says it's really hard to find a place to rent in that area. Well, they do live in a small town, so I do have to believe that it's probably hard for her to find a place to rent in a small town like that. But are there no apartment complexes, nothing in that area that she could rent out a brand new, or not brand new, but like clean apartment that somebody left and now she's a new tenant? For me, the only place for her to live is Chris's. I mean, she constantly is going to different family members. And I feel like it's, before it was Tammy couldn't take care of herself. Tammy is fully capable of taking care of herself now. So there's not really any reason to live next to Chris, and Brittany or whatever. And so I don't know if it's like a production thing that they're trying to like build storylines. I don't really know, okay? But that's my question that I don't understand is like, why does Tammy not get her own place? I think it would be healthy for Tammy to have her own place, that she's not relying on somebody else and she's paying her own rent check and she doesn't owe anybody, not family member or anything like that, because that's always the thing. She doesn't want to come in the way. Like Chris says at the beginning, he was like, Tammy doesn't say anything really at all because she doesn't want to step on my toes. So she's living in a situation where Tammy doesn't feel like she can be herself. In fact, there's a scene later in the show, in the episode, where Amanda says something about, they're talking about having this big family dinner, and Tammy says, I'm not going to show my ass at Amy's house, but if this were my house, that I wouldn't be spoken to that way. Well, it's never her house because she's always renting from somebody or whatever. And so I think Tammy needs to have her own place. I think that would be a storyline. Tammy on her own. I think actually Tammy could probably have her own show if she wanted to, So, so that's how it all starts, and it goes into that. And then it's about how Amy is going to host this big family dinner with her gross cooking. So she's going to host this big family dinner and with the hopes of bringing everybody together and rebuilding this family thing. They go out, it's Chris and Tammy go out, and I think Brittany's there too. They go out to dinner with their mom, and who very rarely is ever on the show. I thought it was very sweet, because if you've watched the first couple of seasons, their mother was never very encouraging of them, like, losing a lot of weight. It's interesting to me, they've gotten into a little bit of the crumbs of, like, what it was like growing up for them, but they don't really get into deep stuff, and I think that's kind of out of respect for their mom, who's, still here and would hear those stories and whatever. But you have to kind of wonder a little bit. There has to be, some childhood stuff that went on, for all, I don't know, it's just like there's chaos constantly. And so I did think it was sweet that their mother, said to Tammy specifically, you've lost a lot of weight, I'm really, really proud of you. And she said to Amy, and she goes, I'm proud of you too. And then she turned to Chris and she said, and you too. I thought it was really sweet, because that was something that we didn't see from their mother for the first couple seasons. But it felt almost kind of forced. I don't know, she felt like she had been called out in previous seasons, so she had to say that to them now. I don't know. I don't know their mother, but she doesn't. I mean, she reminds me of people I've sat next to at the slot machines at casino and things like that. I'm sure she's a very nice lady. I just have not loved the way that she's spoken to her children in the past. That's just, whatever. I'm trying to be very delicate with saying this. But anyway, so what was interesting to me is that now this is the second family situation we've seen on the show. The first one was when they were sitting in the living room, Chris and Brittany, and there was a lot of blank space where nobody was talking. It was just kind of they were kind of looking at each other. It was really awkward. And then at this dinner with their mother, it was the same thing. There were long periods where nobody was talking. They just kind of looked at each other. In the past, they've kind of made jokes out of those moments. Amy will look at Tammy and then they'll make some sound in the background. But it wasn't that. It just was awkward. It was just there was a lot of just blank space where they were all just looking at each other. Then Amanda and Amy take this cooking class because Amy wants to be a better cook, okay? All this kind of stuff. I think Amy ought to start she ought to write a cookbook, and she should call it I Burn Water, is what she should call it. With all these, if she came out with a cookbook with all these weird recipes in it, I think the white chocolate, shrimp Alfredo, I think she could make some money off of that if she came out of it, They could put their charcuterie board in there and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, she ain't gonna come out with no cookbook though. So she wants to take this cooking class, which I thought was so interesting. They show up to this cooking class, and Amanda truly shows up with a CVS bag of hooch, okay, of alcohol. They're drinking through the whole thing, which, I mean, I'm sure that was normal, but when you looked around the rest of the people that came in there, that was a lot of blank space too. They literally waited for these people to come in. I kept on thinking it was going to be other family members that came in. The reason why I'm sharing these things is because I'm wondering if they're running out of things to film with the Slayton family, because if you watch that scene specifically, we're already now 2 scenes in where there's a lot of blank space, okay? Then if you watch the scene, Amanda brings in these aprons that look like women in bikinis and things like that. And so she and Amy are both wearing these matching aprons. But the woman, I think her name was Joy, that runs this cooking class, she's like every couple that comes in, she welcomes it. It's not a 10-second interchange if you watch it. Amanda and Amy are standing there at the counter, And like somebody, and they'll be like, oh, welcome to the class. And I would like look at the people like, are we supposed to know who these people are? They're just students in the class. And they're like walking in. I mean, it's like there's a lot of blank space in this episode. And I'm like, are they running out of things to film? Like, what is going on here? I mean, if they're running out of things to film, I can tell you things I'd like to see on the show. Because like this show, there was so much blank space. It just seemed so, I didn't understand what was going on. So then Amy says to Amanda that she's having this family dinner and she'd like her to come, and Tammy's coming too, and blah, blah, whatever. And then there's conversations about can't we all get along? And then Amanda's like, well, I'm going to go to this family dinner, but they don't know what I'm going to drop on them. I got something that I'm going to drop on them. And I'm like, oh, she's moving to Florida. I hadn't read an article. I hadn't seen anything about it. I knew she was dating a guy in Florida, and I thought, here's her exit. She's moving to Florida. Well, I looked. Okay, we'll get to that in just a second. So I already knew. She had thought it was this big secret. Production thought it was going to be this big secret. I mean, you know, connect the dots. It doesn't take that much. It's not like they exposed that much on the show. When she said it, I was like, oh, she's moving to Florida with her boyfriend that she's been going down to Florida to see a lot. Okay, RJ. So I watch, so then the episode comes out, the family dinner happens, and Amanda and Misty show up at the very end, and they're all sitting there, and they're eating this chicken, which Tammy says isn't, even the funny scenes aren't even really that funny anymore on the show. I mean, Tammy's funny, Amy's funny at times. The farting is, like, so overplayed at this point, like, because Amy's like, oh, I farted. It's so overplayed, it's dumb at this point. It's like, I feel like the show's kind of, like, lost itself a little bit. It's like, the first 4 seasons were about everybody getting weight loss surgery. Now it's about everybody getting skin removal surgery. Once they all get the skin removal surgery, I don't know what the next thing is going to be. But if I were production or whatever, there is more exciting stuff going on here than what they're showing. I really, like, I'm so confused about it. The Amanda Tammy thing is interesting to me, but not to carry an entire episode. So they all sit down there and they have dinner, and they're like, you know, I think it's Amy and Chris bring up, like, Amy's like, I wanted to bring the family together, and Chris is like, can't we all kind of get along, and Tammy's like, I'm not really sure that I'm there yet, and this isn't the place for it, and Amanda's like, no, sis, and I think that we can have that conversation another time, so they basically try to get along, but then they're talking about, like, oh, they'd like to have family barbecues and stuff. I actually thought it was really shitty how Amanda said this. I thought it was, like, Amanda's revenge moment. Like, she was going to get one in on them. And I thought, why are you so angry at the entire family? Like, what is going on? This is what I felt watching it. And this is something, I've been a fan of Amanda's. I've really liked Amanda's. Watching this scene, I was like, what is it about your life that you are so bitter about that you're taking it out on your siblings? Because they're all talking about wanting to have barbecues. Amy's joking, saying, can I come up with the sauce and stuff like that? And they're all laughing because she can't cook, you know? Or she thinks she can cook, but I mean, she can't cook. We know that. She puts the weirdest shit into it. I don't know at this point if she's just doing it to be funny or if she really thinks that kind of stuff belongs together or whatever. But anyway, so Amanda goes, they're all talking about these barbecues that they're going to have, these family barbecues. And I think it's real nice, right? Like, they're trying to spend more time together as a family. And then Amanda goes, well, while y'all are having those barbecues, sitting around eating those barbecues, why don't you just think of me because I won't be here? And Amy's like, where the heck are you going? And she goes, well, I'm going to Florida. she's moving to Florida with her boyfriend, okay? But it seems so nasty how she presents it. Like, she doesn't say, hey, you guys, like, this makes me really, really... Like, even, like, Amy starts crying. Chris walks out, and Amy starts crying, and Amanda's like, dry those tears, sis. I mean, there's, like, no compassion or empathy. I don't know, like, what is going on with Amanda right now, but, like, she is, like... I mean, this whole storyline, she wants to come out and act like Tammy is the bitch of the season. Tammy, from what I've seen, has been nothing but decent to Amanda and stood her ground and walked out when they were going to get into a fight. She, like, that whole situation, and I understand that she had knee surgery and she was on pills and stuff like that. Okay, that does not excuse that she is still holding to it all these weeks later, you know? And I don't know why Amanda all of a sudden wants to be the nasty I don't get it. She's, like, so nasty this season. And Amanda's somebody that I really liked. And I'm watching this scene where she's saying it to, like, not just Tammy, like, F you, Tammy, I'm going to Florida. Because Tammy's like, bye, good riddance to you, one less thing I have to worry about. Which I knew is what she was going to say. But she kind of says it to the whole family that basically wants to have a relationship with her. And I'm like, this is so sad. I don't understand what's going on here. Now, I did look it up online, and she did move to Florida, and RJ never showed up. He ghosted her, okay? So, I don't know if she's back in Kentucky. I don't know where Amanda is, but apparently she got her new boyfriend, and she's showing him all over TikTok. So, that's where we're at with Amanda, okay? So, when Amanda wants to come out and tell Amy Slayton that Amy Slayton moves too fast, which personally, I do think that Amy Slayton moves too fast, But when Amanda, her sister, wants to say that, and Amanda's jumping from man to man to man and moving to Florida and all this kind of stuff, girl, you need to pull it in a little bit. But I don't know what's going on with Amanda, but I really liked Amanda. And one of the things I really liked about her was, A, how direct she was, and B, that she wasn't a bitch doing it. Like, she was really direct. Like, we all have that person in our life that's that direct with us. But like I always say, okay, your best friend will tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear, okay? But they don't say it to you in a nasty way. She's crossed over somewhere, and I don't know if it's in the edit, and I don't know if before she was holding it in because of how she was going to be perceived on TV. And now that she's like made her stay on TV. I mean, I don't know if Amanda remembers or not, but this show did not start with being called Amy and Tammy's sister Amanda. Okay, Amanda wasn't even on it for the first 2 seasons. So I don't know what's going on with her, why she's so angry, if she's angry at the show, if she's angry at her siblings. I don't know what's going on, but it is like there is something going on with Amanda, and it makes me kind of sad for her because Amanda is somebody that in the past, I really kind of thought she had her shit together. And the things that she would say to Amy and Tammy, I was like, all right, like somebody needs to say it. And she's not saying it to a mean. I can remember like when they went to Florida and Amy's crying because, you know, the kids are crying and all that kind of stuff. And Amanda takes her by the arm and says, Amy, like, sis, like, come on, babe. Like, I'll go back to the house with the kids. I mean, Amanda has been that sister. Maybe she's tired of being that sister. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe she's tired of being the caretaker for everybody, you know? But she said that like an episode ago. And Tammy said something about, like, they don't ever show it. I never hear from them anymore. So that can't be it. So I don't know what's going on with her, okay? But when I look at this scene and I see everybody going on it, like Amy, I mean, Amy's always crying and losing her mind over something, whether it's, you know, how she cooks or whatever. She needs to straighten those, Amy, need to straighten them damn pictures in your house, okay? It's driving me crazy. But I will say happy birthday to Amy, and her son had a birthday recently too, so happy birthday to both of them. But Tammy, out of everybody on the show, like Misty don't say boo, okay? Chris seems pretty level-headed. But Tammy, to me, is the one that I feel like, not just in physical, but like, I saw this thing on Instagram and somebody showed 2 pictures of Tammy Slayton, like from 5-10 years ago to now, and it said a change of perspective. And I was like, I think that is selling Tammy Slayton short, okay? Yes, Tammy Slayton has lost a shit ton of weight, and I am so happy for her, and she should be so proud of herself, and she is, right? But not only that, Tammy has grown a lot as a person. Like, she don't take the same shit from people. She doesn't speak the same way to people. Now, see, I'm watching it now. I'm like talking like I live in the middle of Kentucky. And my southern accent's coming out. But I'm like 2 hours from them, so my southern accent comes out a lot. But, like, she's changed a lot, you know? She doesn't engage in that many arguments. Go back and watch the seasons with Tammy. Tammy was screaming and yelling at everybody. She doesn't do that anymore, or at least they don't show it on the show. So if she's doing it, the producers are editing it out. But something's going on that they're not talking about on the show. I feel like that's where a lot of the blank space comes from, is that there's conversations and stuff going on that they're not wanting to talk about. In fact, when they have this family dinner, they start the family dinner, they're all sitting at the dinner table, and then Amanda and Misty show up. There was an entire conversation that they chose not to show at that dinner. They had a whole conversation that I don't know what was going on with that. But if you watch that scene, they're all sitting there at dinner. They don't show them all come in, Chris and Brittany and everybody. They're just sitting at the dinner table eating, and then Amanda and Misty show up. It's so weird, the transition. The transition of this last episode was so weird. It's like, are they like trying to edit stuff out as they go because of how like it's being perceived? I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on, but the editing and the production is weird to me on the show. So just show it. That's one of the things I've always loved about this show, was how honest and vulnerable it was. But I feel like they're trying to hide a lot of shit. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.